Good morning, Deb. Well, I don't sleep normal hours either. Um, you know, I can go to bed at like 11 and I'll be up at 4, or I can go to bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and I'll be up at 4 or 5. It's sleep is never consistent for me. It hasn't been for well over probably close to 30 years now, but at least the last 26 years. I just I wake up, every day the same way. It's like I gotta go, and I gotta go now. Oh, good morning, Cement Shoes. Heather in Oz. Oh dear, think I fall asleep before you start almost 1 a.m. here. Well, Heather, I'm glad you could be here today. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, and thank you for joining us today. Faithful one, good morning. Cement Shoes, good morning as well to you. I hope you had a wonderful week. Yeah, sleep is, I don't know how I survived this long. On a good night, though, speaking to Deb earlier, a little bit ago, if you scroll up, but if I get 5 hours of sleep in any given night, that's a good night. I try to go to bed as early as possible, but I'm here in this studio 6 days a week, doing this. Normally 13 to 15 hours a day I'm in here. But even if I wasn't in here, I'd still get the same amount of sleep because it's been going on for close to 30 years for me. Lack of sleep. Good morning, Colleen 41. Welcome. Kevin. Good morning, Kevin. I'm glad you both can be here today. I hope you both had a wonderful week, and I hope you have a terrific weekend. All right. So the first part of the stream now is every morning I'm going to read you, the updates on cases that I've reported on in the past month, 30 days. And kind of give you the news highlights, and if anything has changed. I try to pick at least 4 or 5 of them each and every Saturday morning to read off. And I can't see the chat right now, but I will be back, and read the chat in just a minute here, as soon as I'm done with these. All right, first one we're going to start off with tonight is the James Hutchinson case out of Ohio. It's been nearly 7 months since this tragic case took place, and it has the conclusion to it all is coming closer and closer. As we all know, or should know, Brittany Gosney, James Hutchinson's mother, has admitted to that she murdered him, and that she dumped his body off of the Ohio River Bridge, and they had tied a cinder block to James's body when they threw him over the railing into the actual river. But she has admitted to actually murdering him and disposing of his body. But at this point, we're closer to conclusion, because the only other person left, that the police say was involved in this actual tragic event was her fiance, James Hamilton. And a lot of people have been confusing Hamilton and Hutchinson, but James's little James's last name was Hutchinson, not Hamilton. So I've even seen it in mainstream media, him being reported as James Hamilton and not Hutchinson. So, but they are not giving up hope even at this point to recovering James Hutchinson's body. They do plan here within the next week to send another sonar team out to the area where Brittany Gosney says that they disposed of James Hutchinson's body. Now, the sonar that they're going to be using this time around is a Navy surplus sonar. It's not actually tethered to a boat, where the last 3 times that they've gone out, they've used a smaller sonar that has side-by-side scope. This time it's a Navy surplus sonar that was used to find either sunken ships or landmines in certain parts of the world. Not here off the coast of, west or east coast of the United States, but in other parts of the world, especially in Vietnam. These type of sonars were used there to find underwater mines, there, and it's also been used in other parts of the country as well. But the Preble, I think it's pronounced Preble, Preble, Preble County Search and Rescue group has decided that they're going to use this Navy sonar surplus that has been donated to them for use for the next 30 days. They get it for 30 days. So here in a week, they're going to use it for the first time, and then they have 30 days afterward before they have to give it back. It belongs to a search rescue company out of Canada, of all places. Apparently they need them in Canada as well. So that's where they were at on the James Hutchinson case. So they have not given up hope on actual recovery of his body. And what they're mainly looking for is an abnormalities on the bottom of the actual river downstream from where they say they threw James's body in. And using mathematical formulas, you can predict how heavy an object is and how far it'll move down before it actually hits the bottom. So they're looking for obviously the cinder block, and they're looking for something wrapped up that would be James's body. If recovered, and they do find an actual spot where James's body is, if it's in a shallower area where the current isn't as deep or as swift, they will send divers down. Otherwise, the other option is unmanned recovery vessel. Basically, it's a robot that actually can scoop up the remains itself and bring it to shore. Because of the temperature of the water itself there in the Ohio River, the water level down and the temperature at that level where he would be, his remains would be probably, and they speculate, this is speculation, but his remains would be pretty much intact. They do not believe the body would, even after 7 months, would have deteriorated to the point where it would be scattered amongst the bottom. All right. So that's it for James Hutchinson case update. Next is a part of a story that I reported on. Some of you may have seen it, some of you may not have. It went out to channel subscribers, channel members, people who are members of the actual channel itself. And for some reason, I had issues with it actually being displayed or shown, but I did fix that. And if you don't see it today, you'll see it later on today when YouTube pulls their infinite wisdom hat out and decides that I made this content. Maybe we can actually show it to the actual channel members now. But it has to do with COVID-19. According to this is the update on from the actual hospitals and the administrators of the 3 largest ERs, one in California, one in Texas, and one in Oklahoma. They are seeing a ever rapid increasing rate of COVID-19 hospitalizations, especially with those who are under the age of 40. And they're seeing a 20 to 26% increase in hospitalizations in those under the age of 40 with the Delta variant. On top of that, they're also seeing a 15% increase in poisoning cases where people are taking ivermectin, ivermectin. It's a medication that is found in feed stores and other like farm exchange stores and stuff like that. It's even sold at Fleet Farm and some other larger chain outlets. But it's a medication meant for horses, not for humans. There is a formula that is actually meant for humans, but this is not the formula that is meant for humans. And it's made for treating certain ailments in horses and in cattle and other livestock, but mainly for horses. The one that is found in feedlot stores is not FDA approved for human consumption. The dosage just for a single pill, found in pill form or in liquid form, is almost 3 times the actual limit. So I'm not going to say exactly what it is because then people are going to rush out and try to find it and take it because, well, people are stupid. And that's my actual real opinion on it, that people are stupid and they will take things that are not meant for them because somebody else is taking it and they think it's going to help them. Again, the FDA has put out a warning, and most stores are posting a sign next to it. And it says, look, this is not for treating COVID or prevention of the COVID Delta variant. And please do not take this. This is for livestock. But the poisoning rate of 15% has gone up. And of the majority of those who have been poisoned by this ivermectin, that they are taking, a large majority of people have taken it and also consumed alcohol with it, or at some period of time after taking it, they've consumed alcohol, which is a deadly combination. You wouldn't give this medication to your horse and then give your horse alcohol, but these people are taking it. And yes, I am aware, and so are the administrators of these 3 major ERs. They are aware that people, even celebrities like Joe Rogan, the actor, MMA commentator, and he has the Joe Rogan podcast, which is highly popular. I actually watch the Joe Rogan podcast. I have nothing wrong with or against Joe Rogan. I think him taking the ivermectin is not exactly the best thing to do, nor should he tell people that he is taking it if he is taking it. Apparently he is because he said he is. But according to the administrators of those 3 ERs, again, a human male of 180 pounds who consumes any more than 3 ounces of hard liquor, and we're talking like whiskey, bourbon, or something like that, hard liquor, it can be deadly. Just 3 ounces of alcohol along with it in your system. So I'm sure that someone's taking it with wine, maybe beer, but still, that's for a 180-pound man. 1 dose and 3 ounces of liquor can be deadly. So they've seen a huge increase in poisonings on top of it all for people taking it. Now, at this on the update from those 3, they had a press conference where they actually released it, and the FDA was along with them to said, look, don't take this stuff. It has never been proven to be effective in prevention or as a cure for the Delta variant. The people who are taking it, and I understand, and so do they, that people are scared and they want to take whatever they can to try to prevent or get rid of the Delta variant. But this has never been proven. It's never been scientifically proven to actually be safe for humans in that large of a dose. Now, again, want to reiterate that medication is actually prescribed to humans in much, much smaller dosages spread out over a longer period of time for some ailments. But again, never been tested for the Delta variant. All right, next one, moving on, is Scott Peterson. Scott Peterson is one step closer to actually gaining a new trial. The former California State Supreme Court judge said that the California State Supreme Court may take up the actual issue itself if the lower court does not take on the merit of the jury misconduct and tampering issue. Now, the judge at the lower court has decided that he will hear testimony and then decide if jury misconduct or tampering is prevalent in this case. And that's mainly pertaining around one jury member who lied on her application and her questionnaire, who did serve on the jury, but was that enough to, is it enough to go past the burden of proof to prove that she purposely lied to get on the jury? And if they are able to prove that she, it goes above that standard, he would get immediately get a new trial on this, in this case. But so the lower court judge has decided that he will hear testimony on it. He will decide on if there was tampering or jury misconduct. Where does the tampering come from? The tampering comes from a shock jock radio station where they had posted billboards directly across the street from the actual courthouse and the window where the jury was sequestered and actually coming to a vote on their actual guilty verdict on Scott Peterson. Now, we all know, I mean, the evidence is overwhelming that he, at this point, that he killed Lacey and his unborn son, Connor. But by placing that billboard in such a location where the jury members could have seen it, we don't know if, at this point, by questioning of the actual jury members, we do not know if they actually saw the sign. One jury member said he saw it as he left, but there is no confirmation that they actually saw it, there during deliberations. But that's where the tampering would come from. It's tampering with them and putting something, it'd be like, hey, you know what? This guy's guilty, and that's basically what the billboard said. Call this number, and to talk about, Scott Peterson's guilt. And it had a big picture of Scott on it and the phone number to the radio station. I mean, terrific advertising, but not a really good place to put it. Okay, so that's it for the Scott Peterson update. That the former state Supreme Court judge said that they will. The state Supreme Court would most likely look at the tampering and jury misconduct if the lower court didn't. And then the following, I think it was like 2 days later, the actual lower court judge decided that he will hear testimony on it and then rule on if there was tampering or jury misconduct. Okay, fourth case is an update on the daddies going to jail, about the little boy who was celebrating his 7th birthday, who was in the back seat of the car when his father decided to flee at a very high rate of speed through town and into oncoming traffic and do anything to get the police to stop following him because he had warrants for his arrest. According to a spokesman with the OSP, which is the Oregon State Patrol, that's a state, West Coast of the United States, in case you were somewhere else around the world. The family has asked that people please respect their privacy at this time, that they do appreciate the well wishes and everything else that people have been sending them and the gifts and everything else. They really do appreciate that. But at the same time, there have been people who have been reporting nonstop this family because their name got out. And I purposely did not put their name in my actual video. But people have been reporting the family to Child Protective Services for how this child was put in harm's way. And some of the lies that people are making up to get Child Protective Services to investigate this family, it has been pretty graphic. And they're being harassed on top of the well wishes that have been coming in. They really appreciate the gifts, everything else. They really appreciate it because they have been on hard times. But what they don't need is people lying and making stuff up to try to get the state to take their children away, and break up the family at this point. Unfortunately, that came along with the positives in this story. So, excuse me. Daddy still has not had a court date on his. He had a preliminary that after being arrested, but he has a court date has been set in November, but he hasn't actually appeared on the new charges yet. other than the preliminary, you were arrested. Here's your new charges, and here's the warrants that you have. But he won't go to court on anything again until probably November because of the backlog, and they need to put everything else together because of the warrants that he had and a probation violation that may be coming. The state has to decide if they're going to give him a probation violation on top of everything else. So that is where the daddy is going to jail update is. And that is it for the news updates for this week on cases that I've reported on in the last 30 days. I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Now I will open it back up and I will actually see your actual comments. 1 second. All right. Let's see here. I don't know where I left off. Sorry. Lily Rose, good morning and welcome to the chat, Lily. Thankful. I hope you have a wonderful weekend too. Thank you, Connie Kelly. Jacqueline, good morning and welcome to the stream. I hope you had a wonderful week, and I hope you have a terrific weekend. Mike, good morning, Mike. Mike saying, Allah be praised. Allah Akbar. Good morning, Mike. I hope you had a terrific week. Thank you for being here today. Inner Peas, just popping in to say hi. I wish everyone a happy day. In good hands with Godmother, Cement Shoes. Hope to see you all tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Inner Peace. I hope you have a wonderful day as well. You have a slight headache, slight achy. I'm sorry, Mike. Good morning, Short and Ice. Welcome to the stream. I hope you had a terrific week. Sorry, I'm reading. Good morning, Alicat. Welcome. Glowworm, welcome. Rena, welcome. Hit those thumbs up, everybody. Morning, Will. I really enjoy your news updates. Very interesting topics. Well, thank you, Glowworm. I appreciate it. I decided to, I've got the attention of so many people. I might as well give them updates in this because it also saves me from having to make a video updates. Got my hands full. So this way, it gives people a little bit of context to the stories that I've been reporting on. And they get to hear what's going on. Because a lot of these stories don't necessarily end, when I've reported on. So I hope everybody appreciates it and hope everybody gives the stream a thumbs up. CPS is evil. I don't know, Mike. There are good and bad things when it comes to Child Protective Services. I've had good interactions with Child Protective Services, and I've had bad. The bad with me and my wife was our daughter. When she was younger, she used to love to chew on and suck on cloves of garlic. And one of her teachers reported us for neglect of her because she liked garlic and she would go to school sometimes smelling like garlic. Yeah, and we found out like 18 years later that case was still open even after they told us that they closed it and they dismissed it. So that was pretty, horrific to find out. Um, but so that was a negative interaction. We've had positive interactions where they have we've reported someone who was neglecting and abusing their child, and they actually were beneficial in taking that child and putting that child in a home where the child had a chance at a future, and it worked out the best for that child. So that was a good positive interaction with them. But there are a lot of horror stories out there, but I don't think a lot of people really focus on the positives where, if you get somebody who actually cares and it's not just a bureaucratic runaround, a money grab, um, they have been successful at helping, in a lot of situations. But for the most part, they've got their place. If they're not going to do it, who's going to do it? Somebody's got to see through the entire, situation, and be able to sort it all out. Mel, good morning, Mel. How is the land down under Mel? Hope you are doing well, and thank you for joining the stream this morning. Step parents can change a kid's whole life for the better. Foster parents, yeah. What's wrong with garlic? It's good for you, right? My daughter and my wife both believe strong-heartedly that there is no such thing as too much garlic. Not for me. I like garlic, but I don't like it that much. Well, thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. Mary Jane Android, watching from Japan. Well, welcome, Mary Jane. I appreciate you stopping by this morning. I hope everything is going great in Japan. I've never been to Japan. My daughter was supposed to go to Japan, but then the COVID thing hit, and well, Japan would have let her in, but she would have had to done the 2-week quarantine. But the international flight got canceled, and because she was supposed to fly from the United States to Canada, and then from Canada to Japan, but yeah, they canceled all the international flights going that direction. So the other way was halfway around the world to Japan. She'll get back there though. She likes to I can't remember what they call it, K-pop or something like that. She likes that stuff, and she likes the comics and stuff like that. So I'm not into it, but she likes that. So each their own. But she likes to explore different cultures in different parts of the world. And most of the time, she travels by herself, or she goes with her niece, who is, I think they're 2 days apart in age. So it's very beneficial. Yeah, we are still upside down, Mel. Well, I don't see any time soon that life is going to get back to normal. Then again, I'm not entirely sure what was normal. I've never lived a normal life, I guess. I mean, I don't have a picket fence. I don't have the 3.2 children because I never could figure out how to get the 0.3. But I do the best with my life. But if you take the COVID, this entire thing with COVID, and you try to put it to comparison to a world event that took place. I mean, the closest thing is the Spanish flu pandemic that took place, and that one took 3 years to get people to the point where that vaccination rate was to a point where it actually started to dissipate and disappear. But now in today's society, in today's world, we have so many people who just won't get vaccinated or won't take any precautions, and everything is about, taking away their First Amendment rights or their constitutional rights, but they couldn't tell you the constitutional rights that they, are being stripped of. But yeah, it's a touchy subject, and I always get hate about it, and so does my wife every time we talk about it. But you have to look at it from the actual scientific, side of it, and logical side. Are we being stripped of our rights because we won't take, you won't get a shot? Are you being stripped of your rights because a store refuses to do service with you if you won't mask up to go in it? I mean, you can't walk into a store with no shoes, no shirt, no service. We've seen those signs for how long? No shoes, no shirt, no service. If they had the right to restrict people from coming in barefooted, and without a shirt on it, why is it, that was okay, but now, when they ask you to put on a mask, oh my God, they're taking away your First Amendment rights. Better gather up 100 people and then storm the store without a mask on, because that's the type of society we live in now. Hey, got to fight back. Don't forget, Bill Gates wants to microchip you. People believe this. So I don't know how long it's going to take before we get to that point, though, of seeing the COVID variant and all the variations go away. Wow, your daughter sounds like a strong woman. I wish I was comfortable traveling alone. Will, nothing special with ordinary. You are class act guy. Well, thank you, Jacqueline. I don't see myself as anything, different than anybody else. I mean, sure, I may do this YouTube thing, but I'm no better than anybody else. I treat everyone the way I wish to be treated, and I live by that golden rule that we all have an opinion, we all have experiences in our lives that we share. It shapes our lives, and hopefully, it shapes us for the better. No, New Jersey don't require a mask anymore. We were to that point, Mike, here where I am. But then the numbers that started coming through that were 400 to 500, per day, new cases in certain pockets, and then there were only like 3 pockets in my entire state where the explosion of new Delta variant, cases were just skyrocketing, and then before you knew it, it's kind of like watching a contagion map. And how it just spread, and now they overlap. Now our entire state is red, and we're masking up. We're inside and outside. They're restricting everything all over again. We've gone all the way back almost to when the COVID first started hitting the United States, and we started closing up. And a lot of that is because of really, really stupid people. Don't know how else to say it. People who just absolutely refuse to take even precautions for themselves at all. Even for themselves. Don't get the shot. I don't care. If you can't get it medically, or if you can, you decide you don't want to, that's your decision. But at least make sure that you're protecting yourself, and so you don't be the spreader. They are. Good morning, Jenny. Put my damn glasses on so I can actually see the stupid screen. Yeah. Good morning, Jenny. I hope you had a wonderful week, and thank you for joining us today. Oops. Apparently, I forgot to turn off the notifications again. Pan, welcome from the Netherlands. Peeling potatoes for dinner and listening to you. Well, welcome, Pan, from the Netherlands. I hope you had a wonderful week. Thank you for being here today. Lisa, good morning. Thank you, Will. Yes, people. Yes, stupid people spreading it. I get a gold star? Well, thank you, Jenny. Oh, that Deb, you're right. You can't cure stupid, but you know, I lost another, and so did my community. We lost a really good individual this past week to the COVID Delta variant, and this was a man that a lot of individuals could look up to and learn a lot from. And to give you a brief history, and background on this individual. When he was younger, he made a lot of really stupid decisions. And alcohol and drug abuse played into, on top of that, was fuel on the fire for him being just a young and stupid man. And yeah, it all kind of culminated into not, he never committed anything serious like homicide or anything like that, but he made a lot of really dumb decisions, and he ended up serving some time in prison for his stupid mistakes. And then after he served his prison sentence, he realized just how hard it was to try to put together some type of normalcy out here in society, what we call normal. Get a job, get a place to live, get a bank account, and so on. And there are so many barriers to those who have actually served time in prison. You can't get, at least in our state, we have so many restrictions. It's like, they still ask you on job applications, have you been convicted of a felony? If so, please, and here's the next three lines, tell us the circumstances behind that. And of course, people are like, oh, I don't want a felon, working here, running the cashier. They might steal my money. Or I don't want a felon here. They might be violent, and they just toss the application aside and go on to the next one. You can't get a bank account in certain locations. You can't get student loans if you're to go to school to better yourself if you're a felon. But he worked diligently within his community to try to not change the policies necessarily, but to inform people just how much uh, society can be bettered if we accept people and we don't judge them on stupid mistakes that they made when they were younger. And he did everything he was supposed to do in life. He paid off his probation, parole. He paid off all his court fines, made restitution back to the victims of his crimes. He did everything. And then all he wanted to do was just help other people. And because of health conditions that he had, he could not get the actual COVID shots. There was just no way around it for him. But an individual who could get the actual COVID shot ended up giving him the actual COVID. And he died from it this past week. So our community is down that one good individual who all he wanted to do was just educate people on, giving people a second chance in life. He's gone. Who's going to replace him? That's one of those things that you have to look at now. Who's going to step up and take into and step up into his shoes and take over where he was? I don't see anybody else in the community right now willing to do it. There's not even anybody that's willing to step up and take over his nonprofit, because he ran a nonprofit, giving ex-cons, a second chance, and trying to help them get just the basic things together. And he did it all without, taking a single dollar of tax revenue from anybody. He said, look, the first thing you need to do is you need to atone for your mistakes in the past. Do that, and let's get you a place to live, and find you a job with a company who's going to trust you, who's going to put their faith in you. And we're going to do it in small blocks. We're going to give you 30 days of employment and a place to live. And if you prove yourself and you're doing everything else you're supposed to be doing, then we can extend that out, maybe 60 days, maybe 120 days. So he had an entire nonprofit organization that did it all. But right now, nobody even wants to run his website or take over his nonprofit. And we can thank COVID-19 Delta variant for that. and the individual who they know exactly who gave it to him, because it was an individual who could have been vaccinated but decided not to, and he contracted it from somewhere else, they don't know, but he definitely got it, and he gave it to him because everybody else was very close to knit and didn't get near him because they knew he couldn't get the COVID shots. So it's sad. You believe in second chances, Colleen? Well, he had a lot of good qualities, and he wasn't anybody special. He all he did was he decided that he wanted to step up and be somewhat of the positive nature. He always talked about how he made mistakes, and if there was nobody there for him. He grew up without a father. He grew up without a male role model in his entire life. He had nobody to show him the rights and wrongs. His mother died when he was a teenager, and he took all that in, and he blamed himself for all the mistakes that happened, and he internalized it all, and then he started trying to drown that out with alcohol and drugs, and that just led to more and more destructive behavior. So I think he said, he told us once that by the time he was 14, he was pretty much a full blown alcoholic by the time he was 14. We don't know his story. If we just judged him based on a piece of paper that, or an application that we had in our hands that said, well, look, he's been in prison for the last, 6 years. Well, we don't want that. And here at your work, and judging him on a piece of paper without ever sitting down and talking to the man, that's the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not just here where I live, it's everywhere. People judge people based on it. The government judges you. You can't get Section 8 housing. You can't, in some places, you can't even visit or stay overnight with somebody who's in government housing if you're a felon. They can lose their housing if you stay there with them. So you can't come out of prison and stay with mom who's in a subsidized housing, or brother or uncle or anybody else who's in subsidized housing because you're a felon. You can't associate with somebody else who's a felon. And that was one of the things that he found out in our state. If you're a felon and you get out of prison, you're not allowed to associate with anybody else who's a felon. So here he is, he sets up a nonprofit organization, and they said, look, you can't associate with him because he's a felon. So that he had to spend his own money and his own time and everything else and get his record expunged by the governor of our state, just so he could run the nonprofit organization to help other people in transition. Because they, in our state, you get done serving a prison sentence, they open up the door, they hand you a debit card. It's like a debit, and it's an actual real debit card. I think it's like a Visa or a MasterCard debit card. It has all whatever money left over on your books. It's all on that card, and that's all you get. Bye-bye. They might give you, depending upon which the extra prison you're in, they might give you a bus ticket, but that's it. Or a token for the transit, bus. But then they just kick you out the door. Where are you going to go? Well, you have so much time before you have to report to your probation or parole officer. But then we just list them as homeless, in our state. And this is similar to, how it works in a lot of other states. Now, Mike, he couldn't, the guy that gave it to him, he didn't want to get vaccinated because he knew that he could get vaccinated, but he decided he didn't want to because he believed that the COVID vaccines were going to poison you and somehow do other things to you. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but he knew he should have gotten it. And I think he even made like a fake COVID card or something like that, passport, like identification. He had made up this entire thing. And then he came down with COVID, and obviously he got sick, but his symptoms, and he didn't get sick until after he had already passed it on to this individual. Robin, good morning. 33 people watching and only 22 likes. Get the program, people. Hit the thumbs up. Oh, thank you, Jenny. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's almost like once you are in the system, they can't. They want to keep you there. Are you talking about Child Protective Services, Colleen? Yeah, I mean, hell, we were in it for 18 years. They never closed the case. They told us they did, but here's the part that's scary is while we were in the system and the case was still open, at some point in that 18 years, if another accusation came up, they would have used the first one against us, as proof. Ha ha, we got them now. 18 years later, they would have used that open case, to, maybe if something came up in my, someone said they're not treating that little boy correctly, my son, if that would ever have come up, they could have said, you know what, we have a case that's still open here, that it's an open investigation 18 years ago. Well, right, if they would have even looked at it and said it was 18 years, they would have said, oh, we have an open investigation. And it's sad. I hit the like before I come into the chat. Well, thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate that. But well, I mean, I want people to, if they really like the actual chat, give it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube push the notifications out to other people who may find this, this conversation and news that I do in the mornings helpful or interesting. Oh, about being a felon? Yeah. I mean, it is in a lot of ways, Colleen, it's a revolving door. And the system is made to make money for those who are in the government or in some capacity of parole, probation, whatever. Now, I have to say right off up front now, I should have said it beforehand, before I told that story, is my father-in-law retired as a parole officer. He spent well over 30 years as a high-risk offender parole officer. And then after that, but he'd been in law enforcement pretty much his entire life since he got out of the Air Force I think it was 24 when he got out of the Air Force after Vietnam. But and from that point on, he went from the Air Force almost directly into law enforcement. He started off as a jailer, then he was a prison guard, then he was a sheriff's officer, and then last 30 years of his work, he was a high risk offender parole officer. So I know a lot firsthand, secondhand from him on the situation of how hard it is for people coming out of the system, getting out of prison and trying to do the right thing, and how the everything is stacked against them in a lot of ways, and how it's just a revolving door. I mean, there are so many things there are a lot of things in the probation and parole laws across the United States that are meant to trip people up and to fail them. We have seen some positive reforms, and especially in the last 10, 15 years, that have changed it. So they can't automatically reincarcerate you or give you back, and sentence you to all the time you didn't serve. If you fumble or make one bad mistake or have one dirty UA in 10 years on probation or parole. But that's the way the system used to be. Just keep them coming back. Keep them coming back. Keep that door moving. Hopefully this doesn't do anything to. There we go. Okay, I think I turned the notifications off. I'm not sure though, because it's the notifications with Google. But I remember to turn my phone off, so I should get 50% credit, right? Yeah, I already know. Will, do you hit the like before you come in? Gayla Denson, good morning, sweetheart. I hope you had a wonderful week. My father-in-law was worked at waste management for decades, and yes, we have a very Italian last name, but no one we're not connected. Oh, got some family members that are. They're connected with the Jersey mob and racketeering, and half of that side of the family, those family members, half of them are still in Jersey in waste management, garbage collections, and so on, and the other half of them moved to Vegas because there's nobody in Vegas that's connected. But unfortunately, a lot of them have been dying off, especially in the last, I would say, 5 years. No, no one's put hits out on them, but it's like, people get old. None of us get out of this life alive. High risk offenders parole officer. That would be one hell of a job. Oh, Lily, the stories I wish I could tell about some of the things that he's passed on. I've tried to get him on my channel to interview him, but a lot of the people that the high risk offenders, clients that he as he called them, who he supervised while on parole. Yeah, they're all 73% are going to eventually get out, and he's still a little paranoid and doesn't want people to necessarily see his face. Uh, he's actually paranoid to the point where a little bit more than he should be. He won't even have a social media presence, at all, because he's afraid that people are going to connect him to other officers, and someone's going to be able to connect that felon is going to connect up with that officer, see their friends list, and make like a hit list out of it. So yeah, he's very careful about how he actually communicates with a lot of people, and how he shares his life and what he's doing nowadays. Most of the time, if you want to find him, he's traveling. He doesn't stay put, very long in one place. He's got 3 homes, but one in Oregon, one in I'll just say in Idaho, and another one somewhere else. But he travels the United States, and he does it for free. He's a passenger in a long haul truck driver. Another friend of the family is a truck driver, and he goes along with him, and until he gets to a location where he wants to do some sightseeing. He lets them off there, and he rents a car and travels around, sees the sights, and then meets the family friend as they're coming back from the East Coast to the West Coast. That's what he likes to do. So what if my papa was born in Brooklyn? My father worked in waste management for decades, though. In Brooklyn, there's nothing wrong with Brooklyn. Good morning, Broken Justice. Mike finally took the plunge and got vaccinated. There's nothing wrong with Brooklyn. My friend Steve was born in Brooklyn. Probably a lot. Well, see, if your pops was born in Brooklyn, yeah. My friend Steve is only 54. I'm not sure about that. He might be 55 now, but he was born in Brooklyn. He's a great guy. He's never been connected with the mob. He's a weird guy, though. Very eccentric. My friend Steve was once a what do they call it? It's kind of like a vaudeville player, sideshow freak. I don't know what the heck they call them anymore. It's not a carnival, not a circus, but they're a traveling group of different artists. He did that for quite a few years. He was the fire breather. Trying to get this hair out of my keyboard. Sorry. You were born in South Florida. That's way worse. There's some interesting stories about the Florida man and stuff like that. That's kind of fascinating. All right, I'm still here. You do not see me, but you can hear me because I'm still here. That's how that works. I was born in Wisconsin and lived there for about half my life between there and went back and forth. But it all depends on what you consider where you live. We still have a family farm in Wisconsin, but I also lived in Minneapolis and Minnesota. I had grandparents that lived upstate Minnesota. I used to go up and spend the summers with them sometimes. Unfortunately, all my great grandparents, my godparents, my grandmother from grandfather from both sides of the family, they're all deceased now. Nobody gets out alive, but I guess I kind of technically lived in Minnesota, right? I did attend high school in Minnesota for 3 years. How many siblings do I have, Robin? So, quickly break down. So there's my brother Billy. He's the oldest. He's 18 years older than me. Then I had my sister Chris. Then my sister Kim. Then me. So I'm the fourth one from the oldest towards the youngest. Then there's my sister Dawn, and then there's my sister Laura, and then we have a half sister Lisa. So 7 total. But we haven't been able to find my brother Billy. Last time we heard from him was about 1973-ish, 72, right in there. And my sister Kim passed away, so technically we don't know where my brother is. But if he's out there, we don't know. Could be dead, could be alive. Don't know. But there originally were 7 of us. We even though Lisa she's considered a half sibling, by marriage. It doesn't make any difference to us. We all grew up together pretty much. Yeah, Robin is the oldest. But that actually helped me, a lot when I started this YouTube thing, because I actually have Rolodexes. Anybody remember Rolodexes? I still have 2 of them sitting over on my shelf with contacts from people from all over the U.S. in different types of, they may have changed jobs 4 or 5 times, or occupations, 4 or 5 times in all these years, but I still, keep in contact with a lot of them with email and, text messages. These are people that we've met through searching through trying to find my brother. And I've met a lot of great people in my lifetime. I really have. Oh, Robin, I have so many nieces and nephews, and I couldn't even start. I'd have to get out a piece of paper and pen to write them all down. I found out just the other day that my nephew, he had 6.5 years clean and sober. Just found out the other day that he's back on meth. I fucking hate meth. It's got to be the most evil drug ever invented by man. I know people who've kicked heroin addictions and have never gone back. But meth absolutely fucking destroys it, the addict and everybody around them. But he gets 6 years clean. But he's back on it now. Nancy Drew, welcome. Vax versus virus, both bad. Have spike proteins that can damage body organs. Jab was supposed to destroy the spike protein and injection site after the use. use, but ended up in various organs in the body. Yikes. Tough choice. I, Nancy Drew, I can't comment on that because I do not know the medical side of that. My wife would know more about that than me. I'm just an idiot with a YouTube channel. I hold no degrees in medicine or anything else. I just know I'm trying to do the best damn thing I can in this life and survive, and get through it all. I wish I was in more contact with them, Robin, my family. The only family that I have near me where I live is I have a sister that lives a town away, so it's about 20 miles somewhere there to her house from here, and then her three kids, nieces and nephews. But other than that, everybody else lives so far away. They either live in Wisconsin, Arizona, or Utah, or Colorado also. I met some great people, and that you and you're great people. Meth is horrific. So easy to get. My sister-in-law committed suicide after a relapse with meth. She was a fantastic person. I'm sorry, Lisa. Now, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try my damnedest, Broken Justice. I'm gonna do my best in this lifetime. Some people, won't agree with me, on some of the decisions that I make. And that's okay. People are gonna hate me without ever knowing me. Wish they wouldn't, but they're gonna do it anyways. But those who know me love me. And I hope that more people in the end, know me and appreciate what I do and what I do for other people. I mean, isn't that all we can really hope for? Is that we do the best we can with this life? Because none of us gets a manual at birth that says this is how you're supposed to live your life and this is how to avoid all the pitfalls of it. I have some really strange people in my family, Robin. We just became with the information we have, and the people will be who they will be, regardless. Just do you. Yeah, that's about all you can really do. Do the best you can for you and try not to trespass on other people in your lives. That's all you can do. Well, thank you, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. You get a lot of people, who think that they know the ins and outs and rights and wrongs of YouTube, and they'll tell you this is how you develop a YouTube channel. This is how you become successful at YouTube. A lot of times I sit back and I laugh because they never ever take into consideration what your goals are. Well, they're telling you how to do this. I've been doing these Saturday morning live streams now. I think this is like the 188th or 190th Saturday morning that I've done like this, where I don't have necessarily a subject matter, but people are like, you're boring your actual the viewers of your channel. You're boring them. I don't think so. And even if I'm boring all 27,000 people who subscribe to my content, if I'm boring them all, I'm still going to do it. It's not that I don't want to be successful. It's just this is something that this is kind of like my therapy. I am right now. I'm doing the things that I need to do to get all this out of my head because there's so much of it in here about crime and tragedy. Helps me keep myself sane. Commiserating with everyone. Every day, and just so hard to watch because you only get to live once. That is true, Cheryl. That is very true. That is very true. I've been meaning. I'm going to email you after this stream, Cheryl. Again, I finally I have context now to what we have been talking about by email. I saw the stream with Miss Mensa, but don't put it in here in the chat. Don't talk about it. Okay, I'm not going to give you 3 seconds and time you out. That is just the most bullshit thing I've ever heard in my life. But anyways, I'll email you after the stream to talk to you. And it's not anything negative about Miss Mensa. So all you Miss Mensa members out there, I'm not talking shit about her behind her back. I just wanted to Cheryl about what took place and the people who were in the chat with her at that time. Short Nice, this is your therapy too. Well, thank you, Mike. I'm glad you enjoyed the chats. Sticking a needle in my arm does not sound like fun to me. No, it's not fun, Colleen. It's not meant to be fun. I mean, then some states have actually made it try to make it fun, like win a lottery prize or a gift card. But yeah, I didn't get anything from mine except for vaccines. That's all I got. I got to take my son next week to go get shots. That's going to be fun. He's not a big fan of going to the doctor at all. I try to make him as comfortable as possible. He's not getting a COVID vaccine, but he has to get his booster shots because he's in kindergarten now. Oh boy! So Wednesday we got to meet his teacher and his occupational speech therapist, and we got to meet his parent educator. So that's cool. And then he got to meet his new speech therapist, and that's something I pay for privately. And then Thursday, he had his first day of school of kindergarten. Let's just say that mommy may have shed a couple of tears. Don't want to let that little man go away to school, even for a couple hours. Friday, he had school again, but he only had a half day on Friday. But he's on to kindergarten now. You're talking about illegal drugs. You don't want to shoot the dragon, chase the dragon, do the heroin nod. There's a guy on YouTube who's got an entire channel. That's all it's about. It's just he just drives around the downtown area, and you can see people nodding out everywhere. It's terrible. Immunizations are part of living in a society. Existential dread. Good morning. I'm pretty sure I didn't say hello earlier. And RRH. Good morning, sir. Well, I'm cruising through Tennessee right now on my way back to Minnesota, South Dakota area. Love the show. Have a great weekend. You too, RH, and stay safe out there. A lot of dumb people out there don't see the trucks out there. I remember when my son started kindergarten, he turns 45, Gayla. Wow. I don't think I would have even guessed that you were that old, sweetheart. Well, 45 years ago. Well, no, see, that had been 40 years ago, right? Your son was in kindergarten? 40 years ago. Times have definitely changed. It's kind of funny because the school that my son is going to is the same school that my daughter went to. Um, my daughter finished up school there 18 years ago. And we went back to the school to for the meeting of teachers and everything else, to show him his classroom so he learned where his little cubby is and stuff like that. School has been completely mothballed. They actually bulldozed the school and then built a new one, same name. But we walked into the school, there were teachers who were there 18 years ago who remember our daughter. And then here we walk in with our son, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? 18 years later, you're back with another one?" They're like, "Where are you going to be in another 18 years?" We're like, No, this is it. We're done." But it was kind of funny. At least people still remembered us because we've always been really big supporters of the PTA, in the in different functions within the school, volunteering wherever we could. We walk in again, and first thing we want to know is, okay, here we are with our son, and where can we volunteer? Where can we help out? Is there a book drive? Can we volunteer in the library? Do you need crossing guards or whatever we can do? We're here, and we'll find a way, to volunteer. And they're like, "You're back." 18 years after the last one. What? You're back again? And we're like, "Yeah, well, God looked down upon us one day and said, you have, more than enough love and attention in your hearts and your minds. And somehow you've been able to scrape together a couple bucks and save it. So here's another child." Repeat after me. People good. Some people bad. I don't look my age. My oldest turns 47 next week. Well, happy birthday to your oldest, Gayla. I had my first wreck last week. A kid was on his phone and rear-ended me. I was at a complete stop. Car is totaled. Oh, I'm sorry, Colleen. My wife had that happen to her in a parking lot of the bank. The the girl who, I want to say little girl, but the girl who hit her was 16 or 17, just got her driver's license, and it was going through the drive-through, and the drive-through and the parking lot both merged into one exit. She came through the drive-through and she was just going, was on her cell phone, not paying attention at all, and T-boned my wife right there in the parking lot. Try to explain that to the insurance company. Okay, yeah, I had the right of way, and this driver, the girl went up over the grass curb and T-boned her right into the side. That was a Ford Explorer. That was a good car. Gone after that day. It happens. So is heroin speed or is it a downer? Because I don't know. That's a good question, Broken Justice. I'm not 100% sure. I've never done heroin, speed, meth, or any of them. I mean, I've probably drank a couple thousand too many beers in my life, but I've never been one drugs, not even marijuana. I was very against marijuana use until my wife got cancer, and then I started to look at marijuana in a different light, and then I really researched, why it was illegal, who made it illegal, and everything else around that. But and especially when it comes to medical use, sad. It's sad that it's illegal across the United States, and we've incarcerated so many people for marijuana. My science teacher was my kid's principal, and I was a hellion, and they couldn't believe my kids were so wonderful. They couldn't believe that was my kid. It was funny. Ever hit the gas station of the brake? I have once, or it didn't go that, but scared the crap out of me. Oh, you ever hit the gas? I thought that said gas station. You ever hit the gas instead of the brake? Oh, short nice. I actually did that in my truck once, because it's not an automatic, it's a stick, and I thought I was in neutral, and I was pulling up to a 7-Eleven, and when I was starting to come to a complete stop, and I thought I was hitting the brake, but I actually caught the edge of the gas pedal as my foot slipped off the brake, and I thought it was in neutral, but I was still in first gear. I hit the parking block in front of 7-Eleven. Didn't go through the building, but I can see how that happens sometimes, though. Heroin is an opiate drug made from morphine, a natural substance taken from the seed pod of various opiate poppy plants. A downer as shown by the nodding off. Thank you, Existential Dread. I appreciate you posting that. 90 is truly a blessing. Lily Rose, I'm off to bed. It's 2 a.m. Have a great day and glad I caught your live. Take care, everyone. Bye, Lily Rose. Thank you for stopping by today. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Jenny's brother had a long history of drug abuse. Sorry. Are a big no-no in your book? Because of the reforms, ladies and gentlemen, reforms. In the Seattle Police Department, if they catch you with personal use amounts of narcotics, they're not even arresting people anymore. They're just writing them a ticket. And in a lot of cases, they're just confiscating the personal use amounts and sending them on their way. Because we want reform. It's insane. Sometimes I look at this world and I think to myself, where in the hell are we going to be in 20 years from now? We're allowing this activity to take place now. Where will we be in 20 years? Anybody ever watch the YouTube channel Lamont at Large? Yeah, Lamont. Lamont at Large. Little bit of Sandra. Good morning, and where have you been, Sandra? I'm glad you could be here today. Missed you. Oh, I'm glad drugs have never been part of my world, neither with my family or my life. You did work for a drug abuse clinic at one time. They substituted methadone for the drug. So methadone in place of heroin is popular. But like I said, I know people who've kicked heroin and have never gone back. But meth, for some reason, just seems to destroy people, and they repeatedly relapse and go back. Sad. Wow, what a difference from when I was you were in law enforcement, Gayla. Yeah, Lamont at Large, Lisa, give him a thumbs up. I just stumbled upon his channel and his content the other day. Another creator, actually, who I follow, had done a collaboration with him, I think a couple of years back, I mean, it was like 2019, But and I was like, wow, this is interesting. And he's got another one. He's got two channels. He's got Lamont at Large, and then he's got Fascinating Cemeteries or Fascinating Graves or something like that. But it's, he goes through and he cemeteries and talks about the different people and where they're buried and the history of how they got there or who they are. It's actually really fascinating. Short nice. Your son is a recovering addict, always afraid of relapse, but I have to trust him. I have no control. Yeah, that's true. What is this channel about, Robin? Lamont at Large. He's got a lot of really fascinating content on his channel. He didn't start getting into the graves, and burial sites until later on. It was just him traveling around, and then telling people about the history of different places, stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see on a tourist map. History of different locations around the U.S. And then he started to progress into grave sites and locations where tragic accidents occurred. So then he morphed that into, he started the second channel, which is fascinating graves or fascinating grave sites or something like that. I haven't checked that channel out yet though. I went to it and I think there was only like 4 or 5 different videos on it, but he's got the two channels. Consider yourself very lucky to have never experienced drug abuse in a person we love. Yeah. Fascinating graves, Mike. Lamont at Large, Emmett Till's uploaded was great. So apparently Lisa has seen his content. But the video that he did as a collaboration with another channel was great. But then the very first one I watched after that video was he went to the actual gravesite and talked about the history of the lady that everyone here knows, but you don't know her at all. Is the lady who was the first person to play Aunt Jemima on the pancake box and on the syrup and everything else, and who she was and how much money she made in her lifetime off of being a spokesman for the actual product, and how much she got to travel the world, and that was what she got to see and what she wanted to do. She wanted to travel, and she got to do that everywhere. I think she did it for quite a few years. But the story that people want to talk about now is how she's being exploited on the bottle, that it's a bad stereotype. She played that stereotype up even after she was originally I think her and her family started off as all slaves, but she was a freed woman, and she signed that endorsement contract on her own as a woman even during that time period. She didn't die a millionaire, but she has an unmarked grave. And the reason why my friend did a collaboration with them is they're trying to raise and get the company to actually place a marker on her grave, for where she is. And you can only tell that it's approximately near this one tree in the cemetery. So very interesting content. At least it is to me. He's got a really deep voice. I think he'd do great as a spokesman, Lamont, and doing voiceover work. He's got a great voice that way. But he doesn't know me from anything. I just like his content. Mike, you love syrup? Connie Kelly, I subscribe to Lamont at Large. He's very good. I also enjoy Infamous Crime Locations and love both of their channels. That's cool. I've only known about Lamont now for I don't know a week. I didn't even know he existed until I was watching another channel that I subscribed to, and then I'm going through their old catalog of stuff, and I'm like, "What's this?" And that was the only video they ever did about a graveyard or a tragedy, and I was like, "Oh, okay." But it's only available for channel members, not subscribe, not available to subscribers or people to watch his actual channel. But he did it with Lamont, and it might have been on Lamont's channel at one point, but I couldn't find it. You and Elf Mike Stevens, you love Lamont Mike Stevens Lamont. Lisa says he's a gorgeous man too. He's got those eyes though. Ooh boy, can you imagine those eyes just looking at you every day? They feel like they can stare right through you. They did, Colleen. Uncle Ben is gone. Aunt Jemima is gone, and so is they're rebranding Mrs. Butterworth. Mike, you don't love Lamont that way? I'm still here. You can't see me, but I'm here. I will have to check out his channel. Colleen, please do. Please do. There's a lot of people out there, a lot of people don't understand this as well. They think it's kind of weird. They think it's kind of stalkerish of me. But everybody who subscribes to my content, as soon as it gives me that notification, because I get notification of everybody who subscribes and everybody who unsubscribes to my content. Because you can actually turn that notification on and off. But I go check out every single channel or every person who subscribes. So then, I click on the name and it brings up their actual dashboard. And then I can click on video and it'll show me if they actually make content. And I watch, content from just about every channel that somebody who has content. A lot of people, they may have uploaded a couple videos here and there 5-6 years ago, but they don't make normal weekly content. And I watch content from just about everybody. An easy way to know if you're a subscriber is down there on the right hand side where the subscribe button is. If it's red, you're not a subscriber. And I hope you will become a subscriber. No, obviously these Saturday morning chats are different from the content that I make the rest of the week. But speaking of live streams, I've made a decision for the next 60 days when it comes to the Sunday evening streams that I do, the true crime trivia streams. Every other weekend is going to be crime trivia. It's either going to be a serial killer or a spree killer or something along that lines. Or it will also either that or it'll be a general crime trivia. But that's every other weekend. But every other week in between those true crime trivia is going to be music. We're going to do music trivia, and I'm going to try to make it, of the 30 questions that are on the trivia, I'm going to try to make at least 50%, if not all of it, crime related when it comes to either the artist, the song, or the actual contract dispute or something along that line, where an actual crime was involved. So the trivia for tomorrow night is music. But I was only able this week to come up with, I think, 19 of 30 are crime related. But they're music, about an artist or the album or something that has crime involved in it, though. So, because doing the music trivia was a huge success. People really enjoyed that. So I'm only giving people what they want, and I really hope that people enjoy it. I have unsubbed and resubbed to get notifications. You love to try the crime trivia, but music was fun. Oh God, Lisa. I actually got a confirmation from YouTube again. So the other day I posted in the community tab that I spent about three and a half hours just sitting here all day, in that 3.5 hours, that time period. I think I had half a bottle of water, and I had one cold sandwich, which I still have to go throw away. And for 3.5 hours, I just sat here replying to comments, and I made just a tiny little dent in the total amount of comments that came in. But what was happening yesterday was as soon as I replied to the comments, it disappeared. It totally vanished for 5 to 10 minutes. The comment completely disappeared. If I didn't reply to it, it stayed right there where it was. Didn't matter how many times I refreshed the page. But as soon as I gave it a thumbs up or I typed in a comment, that comment disappeared. And they all came back, but they all came back out of order. They didn't go all the way to the bottom of the comment list. They didn't go all the way to the top. They showed up in the middle. They came completely out of order. But I got a confirmation from YouTube the other day, though, along with that they were actually experiencing an issue, and they knew about it after the person I spoke with said that they were going to send a work ticket. I actually got confirmation they knew the issue existed. But on top of that, though, about notifications, again, and they said, this is what you should probably tell your subscribers is if notifications are turned off on your cell phone and you have it on your tablet, all notifications on, the one cancels out the other, especially if you're using the same network to connect both devices. I don't know if that's actually true or not, but that's what they said. That's what YouTube's infinite, little help center, came up with. If you turn off notifications on one, it turns it off for all devices. If you turn it on for one and then you don't use any other devices, it's on. But sub and then unsub, I hear that works. But I mean, I've been online with people, chatting with them, in a chat room, and then I have to go live, and nobody in that chat room has gotten notifications at all. I've seen that happen, and they're all subscribers. True crime has become a circus on YouTube. I don't think it's become that, Robin. I think that there are, just like everything else in life, it always has been. As soon as people realized that there was a keyboard in front of them and they could say whatever they wanted, and they could buy a webcam or have a laptop in front of them, and they could say whatever they wanted to it and upload it with no consequences to what they actually do. I mean, I think it became a circus at that, and from the beginning on. We may not have seen them, but it's definitely gotten a lot worse when it comes to harassment, stalking, bullying, doxing. I mean, I've seen it all, and I've been party to it all on the negative side. I mean, I would never do that to somebody else, but I've seen it all happen. Excuse me. But it's definitely getting a lot worse. And the worst thing about it is, Robin, is that YouTube is not enforcing their own policies. They have policies and rules in place to stop this, to stop harassment, but no one there wants to be the person who says, you know what, maybe we should actually do something about it. Now, this question has actually been brought up in somewhat of a context with Suzanne Wolzicek. She's the president, CEO of YouTube. But in the context that was brought up to her was, about hate. It was a hate against the LGBTQ community, and how they needed someone to support them. And in a lot of ways, it has definitely gotten a lot better for those communities and those creators. But at the same time, it's kind of like, well, we have to drop all these other ones that we've been supporting and helping, stop the harassment and everything else in place of this. It's and then the two of them are definitely not talking to each other. So yeah, it's definitely getting worse. It's not getting any better, and I don't think it's going to get any better anytime soon. That's the honest truth. I'm getting very good taste of how mean and awful people can be, but what I think is going to make me a better person. It already has. Well, that's good, Cheryl. I appreciate that. I hope that it makes your life better. I hope your life gets better. I don't want this to continue for what's happening to you. And there are steps that you can definitely take, like I've outlined in the email to you, that you can take to stop what's happening to you. So just unfortunately, a lot of creators and people out there in the comment sections don't know that these things actually exist. These tools are there. Now, it may take a while for YouTube to act on them, though. Don't expect anything to happen overnight. Sad the Summer Wells case has taken it to new and disturbing heights. Now, Robin, that's a damn good point. And thank you for posting that, for commenting that. They, well, just like the other day, it's sad that someone like Duty Ron has to put out a video to tell people that Don Wells hasn't been arrested. That a video and it went viral, ladies and gentlemen. I think it was like the first 3 hours, like 2.5 million people saw the post on Facebook or watched it on Facebook about Don Wells, reportedly being arrested. But it has gotten that nasty. And then, of course, all that flooded over. I think I was talking to is either Queen C or can't remember if I could picture her icon. But anyways, I was replying back to a comment about Don Wells being arrested. I was like, that's news to me. And I reached out to my contact, and I wasn't able to confirm it before, Duty Ron was, that there was no arrest of Don Wells. But that's how the internet works these days. Take a tiny grain of truth, throw it in that bucket, and and hope something else lands in the bucket to make it look like it's real. It's a very sad situation. I'm waiting for the moonshiners to come and take of this, or the Appalachian people. Meep meep. Welcome, meep meep. I hope you're doing well, and welcome to the actual stream, meep meep. I hope you have a terrific weekend. There are a lot of YouTube channels are given misinformation and crimes and false conspiracies, so I'm very careful who I subscribe to. I learned something right off the beginning within like the first couple of months of having my YouTube channel, Little Bit of Sandra. And sad to say, but when it comes to the true crime channels that are out there and what people call true crime channels. Um, drama, drama sells. And it has, if you go back and you look at some of the largest YouTube channels, creators who are in this genre, with the 3 to 4 million subscribers, go back and watch some of the earliest content that they put out. A lot of them, I'm not gonna say all of them, but a lot of them definitely, got into fights over which channel was better, things that this person said, that against this person, how much you should never watch this person, how much this person is terrible. They went back and forth, and it sold, and it got them to where they are now. And even to this day, some of them still get down in the mud and they roll around and they're willing to fight it out for a couple more bucks. So, and along with those couple of bucks brings more subscribers. But then there are other channels that that take the high road in life. So, meet me. You're getting tired of Don and Candace. One thing for sure, man. Don needs to learn to shut the hell up. He is not doing himself a bit of good with each and every one of the interviews. It's sad. It's like watching a slow train wreck, closing in around him. I know he wants to keep his daughter's story in the news. I mean, he has really good intentions, but he is not somebody that should be the spokesman for the family. And if he wants to give an interview, make sure he does it with somebody who's not going to paint him into a corner where he feels like he needs to come out, fighting from being painted into that corner. Because I try to put myself in the same situation. If something like that happened to me, and my daughter or my son disappeared, heaven forbid, I don't think I'd be the best person to talk about it. Sure, I might be able to, draw some eyes to it initially, but I don't think I'd be the best person to speak on it. I think they should have found somebody else, either the minister from their church, another friend, somebody, and said, this is going to be a spokesman, and leave it at that. No official statements or conversation from us at all, just that. And of course, then people would have turned around and said, well, they're not talking, they're hiding something, because that's the world we live in. We all want to think that YouTube, channel, they got the ha-ha moment. They got the catch ya. We got ya. Let's dissect their body language, his education level, his criminal history, the criminal record for somebody who didn't even live with him. It just goes on and on. And in a lot of aspects, the same thing plays out when it comes to one channel versus another. They do the same thing. Well, this is why this person's not truthful. This is why this channel sucks, and you should never watch it. You should watch me instead. Subscribe. Give me your money. This is why I need your money. That's what they do. Oh well. That's the world. But just remember, for every one of those channels that you watch with just your eyes, just clicking on their videos and watching it, that do that to each other or get down in the mud and wall around and tell people that they're right and this is their exclusive and there's no factual information to back it up. Every channel you click on, every single video you do that with. You're giving them the support, the clicks, the watch time that says this is what I want to watch. So you're technically part of the problem. If you want the truth, find something, someplace where you're going to get the truth, and it's going to be factually documented. But as long as we keep on watching the drama, and that may not be, it might be 100% made up. Well, we deserve what we got. Candace called Don's sister allegedly. I don't know what who made that prank call. I don't know. I don't know, Cheryl. I don't have another foggiest clue on the answer to that one. But Candace called Don's sister. Well, Jacqueline, you're right though. When it comes right down to it, though, Don Wells is definitely giving everyone a show, and he needs to shut the hell up. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to. And the worst part about it is none of the things that are coming out in the media are helping the investigation at all. Nothing. The longer we keep on walling around about, the body language, his use of a couple of words in past tense form, the more we drag on about that, none of it's helping find Summer. There's not a single bit of it. And it's going to keep people away who probably know something that they should, speak up about. So would I, Robin. I would really like to know where she is too. I don't need anyone to tell me what to watch. I'm good at weeding out the drama channels. Yeah. Oh, I'd like to know where Monkey is. That's Michael Vaughn. His nickname is Monkey. I'd like to know where he is. If you read up about that one or watch some of the videos on the Michael Vaughn case missing out of Idaho. The worst part about that, and the reason why it's not getting the attention that Summer Wells case is getting, is because mom and dad are not, well, I hate to say this, but they don't come off as uneducated. Nobody is saying that they may be related, in some form or another. There's not enough drama there to keep the story in the news. Just a missing child. It's sad that more people are not paying attention to that case. They're paying more attention to this drama than they are about this case. But it happens every day, ladies and gentlemen. Children just disappear, up and vanish. But remember, do not hide yourself and hide your children. Less than 1% of all child abduction cases or cases where children go missing, less than 1% are done by strangers. 90% of all child missing cases come back to either a non-custodial parent or somebody related or friends to the family. 90%. The other 9% of those children who go missing each year is somebody who knows the family, that they are not a friend of the family, who are the reason why the child disappears. 9%. But 1% or less than 1% are strangers. That's what scares the crap out of me when it comes to my son. You can go, I'm not going to say anything more than that, but it scares the crap out of me. Orrin and Orson West. Yeah, Lisa, there's a lot more there. When it comes to Orrin and Orson. That's one of those cases that we're not going to draw the attention because, well, excuse me, we're not going to draw the attention of the mass media, and you can watch it now. I mean, look at when the case took off, the missing California, city boys, and then how quickly it dived off, and there wasn't any coverage, no updates, nothing at all. And I mean, we're keeping it alive, on the internet, on YouTube and on Facebook and other platforms. But hate to say it, but when it comes to missing indigenous children, children of Hispanic background, and children of color, the truth is it will only get a fraction of the airtime that a missing white girl or a missing little white boy will bring. And that's the truth. I'm not making it up. I wish I was. I wish that was the biggest lie I've ever told in my life, but it's not. The media is biased against children of any kind, any color other than white. They will cover the case initially, but then they just drop it off. And it just stops. It's not newsworthy to them. It doesn't bring in the views every night. They have to keep Orrin and Orson Welles on the news every night. Now, Duty Ron and others have done a damn good job making sure that the media doesn't forget them, because they've been putting giant freaking billboards up in front of them and saying, you have to look at us. We are here somewhere. We are missing. Find us. And pressure like that is definitely changing. It's going to change the media outlet, and how they're going to report and when they're not going to report on, updates in the case. So that's a good thing, because not only is the billboards, electronic and the other billboard keeping their presence known, but it's also making sure that the media is held accountable for what they have done for so long. Just reporting on this a little bit or not at all, and only reporting on this. Right, Robin? I got that as well. Yeah, just like me. So I don't know if anybody in here in this chat, really quick, I'm going to finish up with this little anecdote and story. So obviously my channel's called 411 Now, and I have a Facebook group. It's a closed page. You actually have to answer a couple questions and ask to join. I have been running into a lot of problems over the course of since I opened up the actual Facebook group. People have joined because they think that I am a closed group on numbers and information out there. I've had people message me time and time again, hey, what is the number for Bob the plumber, the one who I hired last year to come snake the drains at my house? What? I'm 411 Now. I'm not information. But over and over again, and just like the other day, I had somebody who posted asking for a tree trimmer, thinking that I'm information. Well, if you tell me where you are, and there might be a good chance that somebody in your area can tell you who to call to trim your trees or snake out your pipes, or what the number is for the taxi service in your town. But I'm not, a local directory of phone numbers. And people have gotten actually really pissed at me because I won't give them the number. And I'm like, I don't have the number. I don't know where you are. I don't know who you are. But yeah, you might, this Robin, the school teacher, Sunday school teacher, has the same name, but the Summer Wells case will dissipate eventually. Hopefully they find her alive and well. But yeah, changing your name, how are we gonna know it's you? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap this up here on that. I want to thank everybody again for stopping in this morning to listen to me ramble on about nothing but everything at the same time. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you would, give it a thumbs up. If not, give it a thumbs down and then leave me a comment. If you hit the thumbs down button because you want to make sure that I really, you get my attention, that you really didn't like this, click that thumbs down button twice. Just doot, doot, hit it twice. And let me know down in the comment section just how much of a worthless individual I am. Like a lot of people do every week. It doesn't matter to me because it's not going to change my opinion of myself, but people do. But I appreciate everyone for being here today and listening to me ramble on. I hope everyone has a safe and happy weekend. And, hope we have more positive developments in some of these missing children cases that are, they're out there. But stay safe, everyone. And thank you again. Connie, you and Kevin have a great weekend as well. And happy Labor Day to everybody.